Now we are in northern Italy in the Valpolicella region with a Valpolicella Classico from Agricola il Sasso. I have been following these producers for probably 5 years now. They're next to and friends with a producer that we really like and used to import called a Monte Caro, who we will get back at some point, but have not had yet. And they have very different wines. I mean, they're ultimately still Valpolicella, so they're not the most different thing you've ever had, but their styles are super different. And when I saw this one on the list for Nomadic, I was super excited to bring it in because I've always really liked their wines and thought that they are a bit more, well, I won't tell you why until we dive in, because there's I'll explain more as we actually get into it, but it'll give too much away. So yeah, so they're up in the Valpolicella region. They actually have the designation of DOC, and now watching the evolution of these guys, they're getting more natty by the day. Not really, like I would still say that, again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's still a pretty classic style wine, which is why they're still able to get the DOC designation. But when I first met them, they had, plain white labels with just the name. They did not have the clear bottles. They didn't have the exposed cork. So they're clearly knowing their market and jumping further into it, because the bottle is far more attractive by, our natural wine buying standards than it used to be. But I was very happy to see that their quality and the classicness of the wine is still there. All right, so hopefully I didn't give too much away from the beginning, but with that on the nose, all right, so now I can just finally start and say it. So I love that their wines are really earthy, and I think that is like, it's not that uncommon. It's pretty normal to see earthy notes in a Valpolicella, but these are like really earthy, and it's nice to see that kind of coming through from, well, first sniff, but to be fair, first sniff from the top versus the bottom, because I always get the fruit more at the bottom. All right, so in the bottom, or what I didn't even say on the top. So it's like a little bit like, it's not forest flory because it's a little bit drier than that. It's like dusty doesn't sound good, but it's a little bit like dusty. Like dried leaves. There we go. It's more like dried leaves than like, forest floor after rain. And then on the bottom, sorry, I just almost drank it because I really like it, and I was just went for it. We didn't even do the bottom. Also, it's got like baking spices to it as well. It's got not so much like cinnamon. What's the other one? Not nutmeg, or maybe it is like nutmeg or like cardamom. It's kind of like cardamom-y. A little bit smoky too, honestly. Oh, you know what? It's kind of like there was a small forest fire, and after the forest fire, you're walking through the woods, and that's what it smells like, but not a big one. It's not like icky smoke. It's like, nice smoke. Maybe it got some like plums and some fruit along the way that it also smoked up in the woods. And then on the bottom, so there's a lot going on here. So darker fruit, I'd say, like plums, darker cherries. Let's see, yeah, 2020, so it's still pretty new. Berries are there, but they're not as obvious. I would definitely say it's more in like the deeper plums, dark fruits. What else is there? Like maybe like black. I guess when you say berries, like maybe some blackberries. But yeah, I think when that whole like plum smoked up in the middle of a forest floor that's dry, that's incredibly specific, but that's the visual I'm getting from this. All right, let's try it. All right, so it is lighter bodied than I was expecting. Normally, I normally expect like Valpolicellas to be like, they sometimes, especially like Classicos, are sometimes like a little bit Merlot-esque, and that they're kind of like medium across the board. I would say that it does have that, except for I don't think that it has medium body. It's actually going closer towards being lean or like light-bodied. And I think that is probably this, and this is new to me. And I think it's probably, as we can also see, like I was just describing, the change in their look. They're probably taking the Valpolicella Classico style and bringing it a little bit into the glue category, which I can perfectly respect and is something I've never had before and I'm finding incredibly interesting. It's going to change up all the pairings I would normally put with this because it is not the same. The smell in the nose is about the same, but the palate is very different than what I would normally expect. So let me revisit. All right, so we talked about like the mouthfeel, but when we go back to like the taste, or really it's still kind of just also your smell, all those things are there, except for it's not dry anymore. It's like now we're in the wet forest with plums rolling down a little stream towards you or something. It's got a little bit of like balsamic notes to it. I wasn't getting that on the nose, but it's certainly like, yeah, like a little bit, just like a hint of balsamic on like a berry. Berries are here now too. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that have come to play that were not on the nose at all. Yeah, so as far as pairings go, I would not put it with the normal Italian foods that I would think of, because I don't think that the structure and weight of it is exactly as heavy as what I would want if I'm going to put it with like a pasta or something. That said, actually, hang on, let me just try one more time. Yeah, the tannic structure is not quite there to do anything heftier. This is a glue Valpolicella, and I did not realize it. I tried it just a little bit before this video, but I hadn't had their new vintage, so I'm gonna have to redo my notes on this one. So yeah, cool, but I'm like having to rewrap my mind around it. So acid's high, tannins low, body is lighter. So when I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking sandwich. I'm thinking, oh man, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of Piadina. Oh man, okay, this is it. If you haven't had Piadina, I don't actually know how to get the stuff for the Piadina in the US. I lived in Italy for about a year and worked for the US Embassy a while back. So I like love my Piadinas and love my Italian food. But so a Piadina is like a little, like it's like a wrap, but not really. But let's just say it's like a wrap that you also make kind of like a panini. Anyways, regardless of the bread, put on it some prosciutto, some arugula, a tomato, a piece of mozzarella, salt on the mozzarella and on the tomato, and just a little spritz of olive oil and olive oil and balsamic. Oh my God, A, it's just the best sandwich ever, but B, this wine was made for that sandwich. Done. Not even gonna give you another pairing because that's what it goes with. Or you could of course put like that same type of deal but on a salad or on a pizza, and that will work. You can have this with pizza, but don't put it with like heavier pastas or the stuff that I would normally put it with. This is your glue Valpo. Who knew? Enjoy.